Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, Mark, like a job for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
I want to tell you, please, after the 20th of October, do not send fan mail to any address that you have. Nothing will be signed after the 20th of October. I'm warning you with peace and love, but I have too much to do. So no more fan mail. Thank you, and no objects to be signed. Nothing. Anyway, peace and love, peace and love.
Yeah, peace and love to you. Go take a hike. This is Douglas.
I'm warning you with peace and love. Can you do that? Can you warn someone with peace and love?
I guess you can. How effective it is, I don't know. This is Douglas Viviani here with
If you do that, I will murder you with love.
The philography aficionado himself, David Cohen.
Wow, that's a new word.
How about that one?
Philography? Is that having to do with collecting things?
The term is used particularly in connection with the collection of autographs of celebrities. The hobby of collecting autographs is also known as philography. How about
philography?
That? Yes.
With a PH?
PH. ILOGRAPHY. You know, that's an interesting comment that Ringo made. And recently, Paul McCartney came out and he said he's no longer willing to sign autographs. And although he
just to be clear, that Ringo thing was from years ago.
Yes. And then
but
went back.
Now he's back. So, and then he started to sign again after that declaration, but now he's not again, right?
Correct. So now he's out. Okay. He's not signing. Okay. McCartney's not signing. McCartney will do a selfie with you, but he doesn't want to sign anymore.
Selfie if you want, but I'm not signing anything.
Why? Why not? There's two questions. It begs two questions. Number one, why do people want autographs? And number two, why do celebrities not want to sign autographs? Do you know the answer to either of those questions, David Cohen?
I really don't. I don't.
Signing autographs or having the autograph, I have a number of autographs, and I got them, a lot of them personally. Some I could not get personally. But the ones I got personally, they have significance because I was standing before that person when they signed the autograph. And so it brings back a memory. So that's my perspective.
Okay.
So that I like. I go to see a Broadway show, whatever.
How is it different than just taking a picture with the person?
Picture's fine too, but I don't want to. I've been to many Star Trek conventions. They don't want the picture. They don't feel they look as good.
But to you, it's more about a memory of an experience you had with that person, not about the physical object.
Yeah, whether it's I agree with you. Whether it's the picture or not, or an autograph, that's irrelevant to me.
Okay.
It's about the memory, and then I could post it, and then we can have a discussion. Somebody walks down the basement, so to speak, and sees Abbott Costello. Now that's different, and they have a discussion. You met Abbott Costello? No, I didn't, but my grandmother did. Whatever. If there's a story to it, right? But I have Abbott Costello autographs, and I bought them. So now, why did I do that? That's the second question, right?
Right. Why?
They're iconic. I love them, and at the time, it felt like I was able to, for a moment, or be a part of their life, or see their life for a moment because they touched that piece of paper and signed that thing.
Yeah. So it was something personal that they touched or created, and now you have it. It's something about their personal life that you now have in your possession. So
right.
You're sort of like maybe sharing that experience with them, right?
Right. Exactly. So I get the collector side of it, though. What I don't get are collectors that say I'm going to save it and then sell it for money. Number one, that doesn't happen. And number two, you're not making that much money. And number quite frankly. And but that lends me to the celebrity who says, like Frank Oz, who did the voice in the Star Wars movies of Yoda.
The reason why I don't do Yoda autographs anymore is because I found out, sadly, that people were selling them on eBay. Also, what happens, which you don't know, is that what they'll do is they'll tell somebody in Florida, Frank Oz is coming to the airport, and they know I'm coming to the airport because one of their friends works at the airport. And they'll say to people in Tennessee, give me $50 and I'll get you Frank Oz's autograph. I can't tell the difference between people who are truly sincere and people aren't.
All right, so I'm having a slight difficulty with all that. Number one, you have been given this celebrity and earned this celebrity from people who have enjoyed your work. So if legitimately you feel like you want, now there's a lot of ifs, but if you feel you want to go to a convention or you want to sign an autograph legitimately on your own, you're giving a gift of that celebrity back to the person that gave you the celebrity. It's a circle. Does that make sense?
No.
So he would be nothing if no one went to see those movies.
No. I mean, like logically, it makes sense, but I don't agree with it.
Okay, we can talk about that for sure.
Because they're giving their gift of the performance that you paid to see,
but no one's forcing them to sign the autograph.
End of transaction.
But they could say
they shouldn't be obligated to
100%
sign.
No one said they were obligated. I'm saying that they chose. Remember, I said if they choose.
Oh, I see. If they choose to come to a convention where you're supposed to be signing autographs.
Correct. You're signing autographs. That's your job. And by the way, you're getting paid for that. And by the way, even if you're coming off the plane and you say no, you're allowed to say no, like Ringo and McCartney did. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
You can say no. But if you said yes, acknowledge these things can happen. But the second thing...
So Frank Oz was... What did you have an issue with what he said?
He's saying that I don't like that people sell my autograph. Basically, and my problem is
you don't agree.
I've seen him at conventions. He gets paid to sign his autograph. So what he's basically saying is, you want my autograph, pay for it, and that's fine. So I paid $25 for your autograph. You tell me I can't now sell it for $50 on eBay? Why not?
Just to clarify, is he saying that means he's not going to conventions anymore to do this?
It sounds like to me he's not signing anything anywhere at all. I don't know about the.
Okay, so he's making the decision. He doesn't want to get paid for signing autographs because he doesn't like what's happening with the autograph.
And I totally get that. But what he didn't mention is that, I'm going to try this in a nice way, these autographs are not worth that much money.
Yeah, don't be nice.
Don't be so, like, it's a little arrogant, because most of the people on the planet don't know who you are, Frank Oz. Right. The people that want your autograph are the people that really love your work. Let's be honest, right? And so so you're giving a person a gift of $25 by signing a piece of paper. You're choosing to do that or not at the airport, and you're getting paid to do it or not if you don't want to at an autograph show. So let's not, it's a little much, isn't it? It's a little much. You can say no, like McCartney is saying no. That's okay too. Doesn't make you a bad person. And it should make you a bad person. So let's go on the side of the celebrity. Yes, if the celebrity says no as a someone that wants an autograph, they say no. Fine, they say no. You move on. I'm not here to offend someone. I'm not here to force you. It's not that important to me. But if you're doing it, don't start put dollar signs on it. And now here's the bigger picture. I have been at many of these Star Trek conventions. Shatner signs and has been signing for 20 at least, if not more, years, like crazy. He goes to 5 conventions at least a year. He signs at least 5,000 autographs per convention. At least. There's a million Shatner autographs. And when I say a million, I mean the number million. There's a million William Shatner autographs out there. I'm not exaggerating. So if there's a million of anything out there, for it to have value, there has to be more than a million people that want it, that are going to pay money for it.
It's not worth much.
Exactly. Guess what? When he dies, with all due respect, we all die. Whenever he dies, and I don't want it to be anytime soon, but when he goes, that autograph will go up momentarily. But in the long run, 50 years, 25 years after he dies, and he might be a little bit of an exception because he's very famous and did a lot of work, but really not so because he signed so much. 25, 50 years from now, when people are alive that still remember Shatner and want his autograph, they'll pay some money for it. They ain't paying thousands of dollars for it. They're paying maybe 100. Today's value is 100. They may pay 50. Because as people die, now 100 years from now, this is silly to say in some ways, but just as an example, 100 years from now, no one on the planet will have met, seen, or experienced Star Trek with William Shatner in it as a youth. So it'll have no sentimental value to anyone. It therefore will mean nothing to many people. There'll be a million of them out there, and there'll be 100 people that want it. The value is going to be peanuts. So we're not getting, and I would say this to anyone, autographs. If you're an autograph hound and think you're going to retire on your autographs, trust me, I have tons of autographs. It ain't happening. They're not worth that much money. They're not. even the Beatles, and we can go through it in another show, another section. Beatles autographs can go to $75,000. All four of them together on a guitar, let's say, $75,000. That's extraordinarily unique. There's no doubt. And that will hold value for quite some time. However, at some point in time, this will be further down the line, but at some point in time, the Beatles are going to lose their luster too. 100 years from now, people are going to say, yeah, I remember the Beatles. Yeah, it's okay. But they're not going to be like, I remember seeing them on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I got an autograph from them afterwards. It's not going to mean that. So that value of 75 is going to go down to 7,500 maybe, whatever equivalent dollar. It's not going to be that significant. So to get autographs and collectibles to make money, it ain't happening unless you're making a business of it and doing it, selling it to people that think it will happen. If that makes any sense.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
All right, so we'll continue this and get into some fun stuff here. And everything old is new again, talking collectibles.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Well, I looked down at center field and I pointed. I said, I'm going to hit the next pitch ball right past the flagpole. Well, good Lord, must have been with me.
How about that? Everything old is new again back here. That was a little Babe Ruth. Why are we playing a clip from Babe Ruth? Well, I'll tell you. Here with David Cohen, we'll talk about collectibles.
I love when you interview yourself. It's very...
In 1935, July 26, 1935, a red-letter day in the Viviani household. Do you have any idea what that was all about?
No. Please tell us quickly.
Quick. It's not going to be quick. I'll tell you what happened. My grandfather visited with and went to Alley Pond Park in Queens. You know the location?
No.
Right off the Grand Central Parkway. There's a couple of ball fields there. Later on, I used to play softball there, but okay. Yankee star Babe Ruth and the mayor, LaGuardia, was there that day to open that field. Babe Ruth threw up some softballs, fungo, and hit them out. And he hit like a bunch of them, like a lunatic. My grandfather was there. He was 35 at the time. He ran out to center field wherever, and he caught a softball that was hit by Babe Ruth.
Really?
Yes. Now,
that's cool.
The softball back then was not the way it is now. The seams were on the outside, and they were rather raised. You could clearly see the raised seams because they didn't have the technology to make them the way they come now. Anyway, so I'm down his basement, maybe, 1975, and I find this softball. It has a Babe Ruth's name on it from this experience, and I bring it up. It's in a plastic bag. I mean, a paper bag. I'm like, he's like, it could have been thrown out. He tells me that story. He passes, and I was lucky enough to get that baseball from him as a bequeathment, if you will.
Wow.
So I have
you have a softball signed by Babe Ruth,
and you can authenticate it because of I mentioned that because of the size of the seams on the softball itself. Yes.
You sure how do you know not to play devil's advocate though? Your grandfather just didn't sign his name.
Well, he worked for the Parks Department. He was there that day that Babe Ruth was there.
Right.
And so he caught the ball and got the autograph. Here's a picture.
That's not really an answer to my question, though.
A picture of it. You can see.
What is that? What are you showing me?
A picture of Babe Ruth signing the ball with my grandfather. Right
is that your grandfather in the picture?
Yeah, right there on the right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, right there.
That is awesome.
So, we know
that is really awesome.
Yes, we know that.
You have to. I know we're doing this on Zoom now.
Yes.
Can you show me the ball?
We have to. I can. You want me to stop taping? I'll go get it. Give me 2 seconds. Hang on. Let me pause. Here we go. All right. So in the interim, I've gone upstairs, came back down, and I've impressed David Cohen with, and I'll put it on the website with the ball.
Yeah, you should. That's really impressive. And the ball is in. Yeah, those raised seams. It's a very strange looking ball.
Yeah.
But it's very it's almost like you just took it out of the box, it's almost perfect condition.
Yeah. It's not as wide as you think it would be. It's a little darker, but it's there, and you could clearly.
And his name is very clearly signed.
Yes.
It's really cool.
How do you like that? So listen, I'm coming home from school one day. This thing is at my house now. My grandfather gave it to me,
right,
as a youth, and I was in we used to go out. Douglas Blome and Glenn Mormon and I used to go out to Douglas Blome. Remember the Achilles story? The kid that catching the Achilles with me. Anyway, we used to go out, and we used to play baseball all the time. Kids don't do this now, but whatever. Not going to say good, bad, whatever. But we used to go every Saturday to the field, and there'd be 12 of us, 15 of us, 6 of us. It didn't matter. We would play baseball. We would play, if there was only 6, we would play 3-on-3 baseball. We would play, you can only hit to half the field, right? And you ever do this? And you'd play fungo, and you would play first base. Let me get it straight now. First base is home, so someone's running home, and you throw the ball to first base. If the ball gets to first base before the guy gets home, he's out. Different rules like that, right? All kind of rules. So we would figure it out, man. If you didn't have enough players, however it was, we would play 3-on-3, 8-on-8, whatever. We loved that game. So we walk home from then, on a Saturday, and I don't know. Back in the day, you'd kick the can, you'd go down and you'd sing like the usual. Back in our day, commercials for food was so different. We would sing like the Oscar Mayer Wiener song.
Catchy jingles.
Yeah, like this. You'd sing this.
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Now, I can tell you that without playing that, I could have sung that by memory. Could you?
But the cool thing about that commercial is at the very end when he says, doesn't he go, how's that?
Yeah, exactly.
Which he did probably one that, it was an honest question. He was asking the people in the studio, how's that?
Right, exactly. Take number 5. Did I finally get it right?
Right.
But we would sing those. Did you not do that? I'm talking about when you're 12 or something. You'd sing these songs all the time.
I'd sing all of those jingles. Yeah.
Can you do the McDonald's one? For the Big Mac?
Oh, of course.
Do it.
To all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Oh, my God. Listen.
To all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
You got it 100% right. Now, that is from the early 70s. So you talk about, that's memory.
Yeah.
Like, you can't believe. That means there's no doubt you sang that song in whatever format many times, right?
Yeah.
So we did the same.
And just to be fair, it takes 2 hands to handle a Whopper, a 2-fisted burger from Burger King.
Oh, there you go. I didn't have that one recorded. You're right. Do that again. Takes 2 hands.
I'm trying to get the tune. It takes 2 hands to handle a Whopper, a 2-fisted burger at Burger King.
How about that? There was another one. How about this one?
To all beef patties,
that's not
sauce,
it. Hang on. That one we know. How about this one?
Once upon a time there was an engineer. Choo-choo Charlie was his name, we hear. He had an engine and he sure had fun. He's good and plenty candy to make his train run.
Charlie says, love my good and plenty. Charlie says, really rings the bell. Charlie says, love my good and plenty. Don't know any other candy that I love so well.
So we're walking home from the park. All these stories are going. And then we see this buddy of mine, Benny Yoli, and he's walking with us, and he's coming.
Benny Yoli?
Benny Yoli. I changed some of these names a little bit, so I don't have to re-edit them later on. His name was a little different, but that's good enough. So Benny Yoli's there, and we had met Benny Yoli. His dad previously was Boopsy. Remember that story? With Boopsy, the gentleman okay. So he had some nefarious connections. So Benny Yoli meets us on the way home, and I start talking about, for however reason, the Babe Ruth baseball. I had just gotten it. So I said, Benny and Doug Blome and Glenn Mormon, you guys want to see this? Want to see this ball? What? You really have it? Yeah, I got the Babe Ruth baseball. You want to see it? Yeah, all right, let's go. So we start walking to my house, and Benny's got the Fig Newtons. Did you ever see them do this song?
Gooey, gooey, rich and chewy inside. Golden, flaky, tender, cakey outside. Wrap the inside and the outside is a good darn tootin'. Doing the big Newton is the tricky part. The big Newton.
One more time.
This big guy dressed as a Fig Newton or as a fig, right?
Yeah.
What happened to those commercials? What are they now?
I don't know. I know.
I mean,
now it's just a lot of commercials are about screaming. Have you noticed that people scream? I watch sports a lot, And every other commercial, someone is screaming at the top of their lungs.
Right. Buy this or whatever. Yeah, or they're not related to the topic, but you don't see like a commercial just for
There's no
cookies.
Jingles, right?
There's no jingle.
There's no jingles.
You see a cookie commercial, and I don't see like these things. I don't see them.
Right.
I don't see the hamburger commercial with the jingle, like I say, the jingle. So anyway, so we was kicking the can, singing these jingles. I go down the basement. I show them the ball. They had the same reaction that you had. To this Babe Ruth baseball.
Whoa!
Like, are you kidding? Yeah. Where did you get that? What's it all about? I told them the story and everything, and I look, and Benny Yoli looks at me. He's looking at the ball. Now, this is a different kind of a kid. You remember his environment is his father's a little bit more, he's rough and ready. His dad's involved in some nefarious activities. And right. So he's not impressed.
Yeah, I'm not impressed.
Benny Yoli's looking at me. He goes, yeah, so? I go, wait. He goes,
so what?
He goes, I got something down my basement. You talk about something. You want to see what my dad collects? I got something.
Bodies?
I got something down my basement that you're not going to believe. It's much better than a Babe Ruth baseball. And we're looking at him. We're like, Benny, are you serious? Like,
how could anything be better?
There is nothing better than a Babe Ruth baseball. Are you kidding me? And this is before, of course, Sandlot came out, the movie. But regardless, Babe Ruth is Babe Ruth. I mean, huh? He goes, no, come back and let's go to my house. I'll show you what I have. So when we get back, I'm going to tell you what, if any, collectible is better.
Love the teaser.
Yes. What's better than a Babe Ruth baseball signed in 1935?
Is it Babe Ruth himself down there?
We may find something like that. We'll see. Let's get back. Here's Babe. Here he is.
What do you mean keeping these boys in there when there's baseball to be played? Why, arithmetic. Arithmetic. 4 times 4 is 16. Yeah. 3 strikes, you're out. That's our arithmetic. Come on, boys, let's go. What do you say?
All right, so Doug, people have been saying, hey, I could find you guys on YouTube. You have your own YouTube channel. I can find you on Facebook. But what about other social media? Do you exist anywhere else in the social media universe?
Yes, we do. We're on Instagram and we're on Twitter. At the same thing, you go at EONA Show. That's Everything Old is New Again. The initials right, so it's EONA Show. And that's it, at EONA Show. You got Instagram, Twitter, and I'll tell you, we post pictures, behind-the-scenes stuff, trivia questions, contests, notes about the show, so you have a lot of fun. Subscribe to us, friend us on Facebook if you can, and subscribe to the YouTube, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
That's fun. I'm going to even start doing that.
It might be worth your while. You can actually know what we're going to do next week.
Good.
At EONA Show. That's at EONA Show.
I like to teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. I like to ride the world and keep it company.
We're back here. Everything Old is New again. Talking collectibles and seeing if there is any collectible that could be better than a Babe Ruth signed softball from 1935 with authentication. How is that possible? Well, my friend at the time, we were 10, Benny Yule in the 70s, thought he had a better collectible than that in his basement. So we're going to go down and check it out. Douglas Blome and Glenn Mormon and I are going to go and check it out. So now, again, that song, the Coke song, we would sing all over town because we walked all over town. Did you do that? Like you walked from house to house as a kid. I mean, you had bicycles
or bikes
too,
or something.
Right? So and you were limited to your neighborhood, but that neighborhood was the world. Like that's all you needed was Catherwood Crescent and Dalewood Place, right? And all, the maybe 15 blocks or so. You were a little different. You were in Brooklyn, but in the suburbs, like that's 15 blocks. It was bounded by like main streets around the neighborhood. So you weren't allowed out of that area. You were in your environment, and that was it.
Yeah, you'd get in trouble if you ventured out.
Yeah, and there was a park, so you went to the park, and so you had your stuff. You were good. But, so you weren't afraid to sing and whatever. So we sang those. So we leave my house, and we're on the way back to Benny Yoli's, who's a couple blocks away. So I had never been in this guy's house before, ever. Benny Yoli's house was the mysterious house. Did you have a mysterious house in the neighborhood? Well, again, you were in Brooklyn, but there's always...
No, but I lived on Long Island for a part of part of the time. So
when did you move? How old were you? What was it? About 15?
I was young. I was like 11.
Oh, all right. So yes,
yeah.
Wasn't there a house in every neighborhood that people look at and go
creepy?
like, yeah, the creepy house or the haunted house or whatever? Or you
definitely
listen. It would be 5:00 at night. You would hear Mrs. Yoli scream at the top of her lungs, "Lenny,
really?
Lenny and Benny and Jerry, blew it. Get back home now!" And she'd scream at the top of, and if like they didn't come home in like a couple of minutes later, she'd start screaming and cursing. The whole neighborhood knew this lady and the issues, and they felt so bad for this kid, this Yoli kid. But so like no one was invited to. Like it was that creepy house, and no one was invited in. But his parents were not there that day. It was a Saturday, so it's come on out, let's go. So. We go, walking down there, and we're singing the songs in a way, kicking the can. Remember this one?
Sure. I like Fritos corn chips, I love them, I do. I want Fritos corn chips, I'll get them from you. Oh, I am the Frito Bandito.
All right, so Benny is promising us lunch of lunches. What is the best lunch for a kid in the 70s? At like 10 years old,
peanut butter and jelly.
Close. Fritos for sure, right?
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Right.
And this.
Oh, you need fluff, fluff, fluff. You make a
fluff. Oh, fluffernutters, of course.
Marshmallow fluff and lots of peanut butter. First you spread your bread with peanut butter and marshmallow fluff and have a fluffernutter.
I just love that all these jingles existed. There was foreshadowing to us. We got to his house, and Benny says, "You know what?" He says, "Let's have some lunch first." He's like a host. He's tempting us. He laid it down like a postulation that we had no idea. What's better than a Babe Ruth ball? Well, first he opens up the refrigerator. He's got the individual. I don't know if you remember these. The individual Coca-Cola bottles. Can bottles.
Oh, the bottles, yeah.
With the sort of an hourglass shape.
Right.
We open those up. He's got the Fritos. We're opening those
up. So he's
up.
milking this thing.
He's milking it. He wants to make buddies. He's making fluffernutter. But he makes a mistake. Have you made a fluffernutter recently?
No.
If you make a fluffernutter on bread that's not toasted, you're going to have some trouble. Because that fluff picks up the bread. So I taught Benny a secret that day. I said, Benny, when we're doing it, toast the bread, man. What are you doing? Let's toast the bread. So we're all four of us sitting down now. We're having ourselves a nice... This is a gourmet meal for a kid. Coca-Cola, Fritos as a little side, and a fluffernutter. And we're all like... We're kind of like looking around. The house is kind of creepy. It's got like people you're looking... They have like these collectibles, or they have these... Whatever, these little... Like, some houses have like little angels on the shelf, right?
Yes, right.
Some have these little, these little kids that are pewter kids. I don't forget what they're called, right?
Uh-huh.
He's got like heads of like a deer in one room. The stuff. And he's got antlers hanging, and he's got like
taxidermy stuff.
Yeah. And he's got like there's like an old, back in the day you could get guns with a pistol, with a cap gun, and you put the caps in it, you pull the trigger and it make a sound. Remember this thing? He's got the cap guns everywhere. He's got guns.
Right.
He's got, so it's kind of, you're looking around, it's kind of creepy. Like this guy's got some creepy stuff here. He's got like a pewter base with like a picture of like, a cowboy shooting at an Indian, American, Native American, but it wasn't.
Oh, like figures and
figurines, and you're taken aback. Okay. Like you're seeing a lot of kind of like life and
violence
death in this house. There's a lot of life and death.
Violence.
There's no Disney in this house. The only Disney is like I remember him. He had a statue of Disney, a Disney statue of Bambi, and someone put up like an army man. Remember we used to have army men.
Yeah.
He put an army man facing Bambi, shooting Bambi. Like, this was not...
Great.
This was not... Wow. And that, of course, was true to life to the movie, believe it or not. But that was not our thing, man. We were kind of creeped. And you'd hear, like, some sounds, and you'd think if the parents coming home, you're going to get in trouble, Like, you hear the...
Sure.
You got to get the hell... You got to get out of there. Like, at some point, we finished the lunch, we're like, Benny, can we go down? Can we see this thing? We got to get out of here. Like, we were really freaked out. We're in the freaked out house. We're in the haunted house, man. So he goes, okay. He turns to us. He says, I really shouldn't do this. If I show you this and my father finds out I showed you this, I swear you'll never see me again. I said, well, what about us? He says, listen, I have to tell you, if we'll do this quick.
What about us?
I said, you cannot tell anyone you have ever seen this. And this story I'm telling you now is 50 years old. It's the first time I'm telling this story in my life.
Come on, really?
Yes. So we take a walk.
First time since that day.
I've never told anybody this story.
I feel honored, as our listeners should.
I'm telling you. So we walk down the stairs, and it's creaking. Mm-hmm. It's not a finished basement like, in our world now. Everybody's got these finished basements. We're walking down. Creak, creak, creak. Okay. It's dark as can be. It's got that one light. You know the one light that's hanging from almost a string, just a wire? Yeah, that's it. That's it. And we're looking around. It's got tires. It's not finished at all. It's just concrete. In one corner, it's got like the puddle of water, from the night before or whatever, leaking in.
Jeez.
It's got the windows, like it's got that crack in the window that no one's ever fixed. It's got the spider webs around it,
You're milking this story too.
I'm telling you.
Just like Benny did.
Hopefully it's worth it. So we he said, Benny, come on, let's go. So it is freezing down there, and so we go, okay, let's go. His dad has a tool bench. And he has a coffee can. And the coffee can's like chock full of nuts, if you remember that old brand. They might have come back now a little bit, but they anyway. So people would store stuff in those coffee cups with a plastic top. So
right.
Okay, so he opens this thing up. And we look in. And first thing we see is a white, like, cotton base. And this is his collectible, by the way. This is his dad's famed collectible. He's comparing this to Babe Ruth signature on an autograph.
So there's like cotton, white fluffy cotton on the top.
And you look in, and again, the lighting is not the greatest, but we're looking in, we see, and I kind of see a ring, like a pinky ring. You ever see those pinky rings with like a black onyx on it, whatever? It's like, it's a ring. It's what? It's a ring. Whose ring is that? He goes, no, it's not the ring. Keep looking. We look a little more. Look in, and there's three heads. Like we're blocking each other out. There's three heads, right?
Right.
All of us trying to peek in there at once. So you can't get a good look, and you finally get a look. I see a fingernail.
Fingernail?
I see a fingernail.
So you see a ring?
On one end, and I see a fingernail. And I look closer, and I see something's kind of like discolored in between. And I'm looking up, what the hell is this? It's a pinky. The man's got a pinky in a coffee can in the basement.
Wow.
And I look at this, and I am freaked out like you can't believe.
Is it discolored?
Yeah, it's dark, and discolored is. I can't even describe if there's flesh on it or not. I don't.
Okay.
It's like caramelized. If that makes any sense.
Whoa! But it's got the ring on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm all freaked out like crazy. And I go, we got to get the hell out of here. This is not better than Babe Ruth. I turn around, we kind of tear ass out of there, and. As I turn around, I look back at the coffee cup, and there's masking tape on the coffee cup, like all old and ready to come off.
Yeah.
And there's some initials. There's some word on the masking tape. It says Hoffa.
I knew it was going to be Hoffa. I knew it. I knew it. Yes.
It said Hoffa on it.
Come on.
I got the heck out of there. When I learned who Jimmy Hoffa was and how he was missing.
That's crazy.
I said to myself, I am never telling anybody this story. As long as
my God!
I'll be back right.
But could it have been a joke?
We'll pick this up
they
in a
were
minute.
Playing on you?
We'll pick this up. Gene Shepard, Mocky Fluffin' Up.
Oh wow! They tried to get Robert Goulet.
We're back here. Everything old is new again. Just finishing up the story here about a collectible that my friend Benny Yoli said was better than an authentic 1935 softball signed by Babe Ruth at Alley Pond Field. And David Cohen, you wanted to follow up on that.
And this collectible that was better was allegedly the pinky with a ring on it of famed teamster Jimmy Hoffa.
Yes.
In a coffee can.
Yes.
Did you ever talk to him about it again?
We never mentioned it. Listen, do you remember Poopsie from the the first beach story, served us tequilas. We thought they were French fries.
Yes.
And he was kind of a rough and ready guy, and you weren't going to question. I don't know.
You knew or you heard that he was connected to the mob.
Correct.
Okay.
So
and that was Benny Old's father.
Yes. So there's kind of like the connection that we said we've just stepped into a world from the innocence of youth and a Babe Ruth gift from your grandfather, baseball with a great story, and we just tipped our toe in the water of reality, of the real life.
You know, it's funny though. Like, his dad obviously showed him the pinky. Did he really think his son wasn't going to show it to his friends?
It's a good question. I don't know if the kid. Honestly, I never talked about it. I don't know if he found it on his own. I don't know if his dad had been showing it off to his buddies and said, "Leave us alone, Benny," and Benny found out later on. Today, I mean, Hoffa was on the news like all the time.
Yeah, it was
Hoffa,
Right.
So,
Well, I have to say, it was as cool as Babe Ruth's signature on a baseball.
It kind of
is. There can only be two of those in the world if you think about it.
It's very true. I wonder where it is now. Does it still exist?
You didn't keep in touch with him.
No, you know what? He's still in that house. I could knock on his door. He hasn't seen me. Benny took the house over from his parents. His other brother moved down to Florida. Benny's still there.
Him, Doug. Are you kidding me?
In fact, they live about 5 houses from where my brother lives now. My brother's back in the old neighborhood.
You have to get in touch with him.
Yeah, I do. I have to find out what happened to that.
Come on, we have to find out whether this was real and what the story was.
I'm wondering if his dad is still around. I don't want to. I don't want to dig anything up.
Why don't you? So just contact him on social media or however.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, you're near my brother. We haven't talked in many years, you know. And just, hey, by the way, is your dad still around?
Right, exactly. And if Dad's not, and I don't wish that upon him, but if Dad is not, then I will dive into this discussion. Do you remember that? And where is that? He has to remember that. He has to remember. Am I wrong?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's something that, listen, it's still in your memory, right? It's one of the great story of yours. It's got to be one of his. You have to promise me, though, you're going to try to reach out and speak to Benny Ole.
Before I do, you have to rate that story. I mean, I didn't really know I was going to go into a story that much. I was talking about more or less the other stuff.
I'll put it to you this way. It's a good beginning of the story. Now that I know that there could be an end to the story.
So what do you want to...
Untold.
What do you want to know? You want to know, of course, if it was real. That's the first thing.
Yes.
And the second thing is, where is it now?
How did he get it? He'll never tell you.
I don't know if his dad would have told him that, but I will ask for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then, don't we want to know where it is now?
Yes.
I would like to see it now.
Yes.
I don't know how things get... How do they get...
Well, I'm sure it wasn't in his dad's will.
Right.
So
is there a way to preserve that kind of thing, though? Like, how do you... What happened?
Did he have any brothers or sisters, Benny Ole?
He had a brother.
Was he the oldest?
No, he was the youngest. Benny's the youngest.
Okay, so maybe he didn't end up with it. Maybe it went to one of his older siblings. Not that you bequeathed that onto somebody, but...
Listen, Benny, I drove by Benny's house on the way to a card game to my brother's house in the past, and when I go past his house, it hasn't changed much. It still has, like, 5 cars. 3 of them are in pieces, right? You know this guy? It's got the door is a different color than the regular part of the car. He's like a fixer-up guy, and so that's why I know he's there. Like, he's the one in that house.
Do you think he's connected?
No, definitely not, because he wouldn't be fixing these cars up like that. You know what I mean? He'd be doing something else.
That's true.
So my point is, I know I can get in touch with him, is really the big point. Facebook or not, I can knock on his door.
Do it.
God, it would be scary. I would do it, though. I would do it.
You can't let this story just hang in the air like this. This is an amazing story. We're talking like, what, 40 years? 40 years later?
When did he disappear? Like 72 or something like that?
Yeah, and this is the first time you've ever told that story since that day? Is that true?
That's 100% correct. It's 100%.
You never told your brother? You never told anybody?
Never, anybody. And Douglas Blome and Glenn Mormon may right now be mad at me for telling the story. Because I used their name. I'm going to clip their last names off because I can't.
I doubt they know. I doubt they're listening to this. But, yeah, come on. We've got to finish the story.
We'll figure that out. We will figure it out.
I'll come with you.
All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take a break here. And the next thing you hear is going to be recorded like a week or 2 later. I'm going to give you an update. I'm going to go visit Benny Ole and let you know what happened. David Cohen, what do you think?
Can't wait.
All right, so I'm going to end right here. Here we go. The next thing you hear will be like 2 weeks later. All right, 2 weeks later, we're back. I got 5 minutes here to catch you up to date. I visited Benny Yoli. And David Cohen, I have the answer to the question as to whether this was Jimmy Hoffa's pinky or not.
Okay, well, set us up.
So I show up. I knock on the door, and he answers the door, and I Benny, how are you? Boop. We exchanged pleasantries. I haven't seen you in 100 years. It's been like 30 plus years since I've seen it.
So he instantly recognized you when you went up there?
Yeah, we grew up together, so you get the same vibe. So, and I called him by his old nickname. We used to call him Sue Babe. That's a whole other story, but so he, sort of like, oh, this is a throwback. There's not some guy selling me something, He knows my nickname from 100 years ago. So I asked how the dad's doing. Dad had passed away. So I said, okay. I said, I'm doing a radio show. Oh, I didn't know that. Whatever. That's great. What stations and all? I say, yeah, it came up. I just wanted to, that story, I hope you don't mind. It just came up in conversation, and I didn't use your name and so forth, but I did introduce the concept of a finger in a coffee cup. He turned white, and
really,
the attitude changed, just tell somebody something and they just or immediately go from happy to sad or to angry or what. He was inquisitive. He was like, "What? You were mentioning something that I told you in his mind never to." I said, "Listen, I've never told."
Did he say that, or do you think that's what you were imagining?
I'm imagining what's going on in his mind.
Okay, but he was like, he just looked at you like
he was just ashen.
Ashen.
And I said, "You still have it?" He goes, "Are you kidding? I don't have that thing. What the heck are you talking about?" He's almost pretending that it doesn't exist. I go, "Come on, man." I said, I got to know. What's the story? Was that really Jimmy Hoffa's finger? Now that now that we're adults, we could talk. So many years later, we could talk about it right now. He looks over his shoulder. There's his wife around. He goes, "Come here." Takes me down the basement.
Whoa, you went back down to the basement.
Down to the basement. It's finished off now. It's a different world, but there's no coffee cups or anything. I go. I'm thinking I'm going down there to see it again. Whatever. No, I'm going down there because he wants to tell me something in private.
Ah.
So, okay, what's up? He goes, the FBI came here one day and asked my father to see the finger. Because apparently my father used to show it off at parties and tell people it was Jimmy Hoffa's finger and so forth. And he got it, he wouldn't say where he got it from, whatever. The real story is that he got this because he had to come clean. The FBI, it leaked. He had apparently told the wrong person. The person went to the FBI at some point in time and said, "I have a hint about Jimmy Hoffa. Go to see this guy. He's got his finger." And, of course, if he's got his finger, he's got to know more information. So the FBI knocked, and Benny remembers this distinctly. And by the way, he never heard this stuff from his dad because at the parties and stuff like that, when the finger was being shown, he was upstairs watching Creature Features, eating hot dogs and stuff. He was never supposed to be part of this. But now the FBI shows up and all this. So what happens is it comes clean that no, it was not Jimmy Hoffa's finger, but it was some guy called Frank Coppola. He was called Frankie Three Fingers is the guy's name. He's a mobster from the 1920s and 30s. He got his I looked this up now. This is me now looking at Wikipedia later. He cut off two of his fingers because as he was robbing a safe during a robbery, his fingers got stuck and the police were coming, so he cut off his two fingers, the pinky and the ring finger, and left so he wouldn't get caught. Now, apparently, I don't know how, but Boopsies, which is the father of Benny, got this as a hand-me-down, as an initiation to the club, if you get what I mean.
Oh, wow. So he was sort of a made man.
Yes, and this is proof of it in their world as to how high up you are, that you have this finger of Frank Coppola. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's a real guy. I looked this up.
Three Fingers Coppola.
Yeah, and I said, and by the way, this guy Coppola was a close associate of Jimmy Hoffa. So that's where the father sort of took the story one step beyond to make himself sound more important to his fellow made men.
And he told this to the FBI when the FBI visited?
And the FBI took the finger, never brought it back. apparently confirmed the story. Otherwise, Boopsy would have been in jail for something else, right? And he was freed, and that's the end of the story.
Why if would Boopsy have been in jail?
What would happen? You've got a body part from someone, Jimmy Hoffa, in theory, right? What's going on?
If it was Jimmy Hoffa,
yeah, they were going to squeeze him and all that, I'm sure, for info.
Yeah, so. True. Right. So they must have run some DNA tests. Although this was back in the 70s.
Before DNA, maybe there's a fingerprint. I don't know. I don't know how they did it.
Somehow, I guess
maybe by the age of it,
that he was telling the truth, that it wasn't Jimmy Hoffa's finger. Because if it was, right, they would have come back to visit him again.
Yeah, it was probably petrified or whatever you call it. It showed his age, that it couldn't have been the age of Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, I see. Where did you hear that? He told you that?
He said the FBI did what he said. The FBI did whatever they did. They checked it. It was not Hoffa's finger. The FBI couldn't say, of course, that it was Frank Coppola's, but that's his dad's story, that it was Frank Coppola's finger.
So did the FBI ever contact his dad again after that?
No, not for that reason.
I guess that's a story for another time.
So anyway, we'll be back next week to enjoy more fun, thrills, and adventure on Everything Old is New Again.